this thing here is something that really appeals to the inner geek in me. And thanks to one of the massive upgrades that we did this winter, there's a lot more that Carly and I both really love about this boat now.
Love doing this.
One of the things that I'm really loving, and
I'm really loving hot water. Right, you can go now.
in fact, it's everything. It's the blender, we've got an air fryer, induction hob, we've got a fridge freezer, we've got a chest freezer, we've got use of absolutely all of our electrics, just the same as if we were on shore power, except we're currently sat at anchor. Firstly, I have to throw in all the usual caveats. This is not a how-to video, but I have recorded an awful lot of the installation of our biggest upgrade of the winter so far, our Lithium and our 3000 watt inverter upgrades. And I've included an awful lot of the footage because I think there's an awful lot of valuable tips and hints and bits of information from the guy predominantly who helped us fit it, because he's an electrical wizard. But in order to get you to how we got up to this point here, first and foremost, we're going to have to take a little bit of a trek back through time right at the beginning. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm super excited about this video. In front of me here you can see our new batteries which we're going to install. 600 amp hours of lithium ion batteries and a multi-plus 3000 watt Victron inverter to boot. I'm not going to lie, all of this put a really big dent in the money that we managed to save over the winter, and I've slowly come to terms with it. Now I've sort of swallowed that pill. Now I'm really excited about getting these installed. So a little bit about these batteries. We were originally, as some of you will be aware, we were going to build our own battery bank originally. We were going to get some lithium cells flown in from China, put them in a box, whack a BMS on them, and the plan was to save a huge amount of money on lithium batteries and, as I say, build our own, which we thought would be interesting, as some other sailors out there have done. But we haven't. I won't bore you with all the details, but the long story short is we wanted to stay CE certified, we wanted to keep our insurance company happy, and if God forbid anything went wrong, you know, there's an awful lot tied up in this boat for us, you know, both emotionally and financially at this point, and you know, for spending a little bit more, as I say, just in God forbid if anything went wrong, the insurance company wouldn't have an excuse to backpedal out of our agreement. Shout out to GJW Insurance. Okay, so we've got 600 amp hours of batteries here. Now we're going to be installing these today, and I'm going to have a little help from my friend Frankie over at the Batcat, who is an electrical wizard, is going to help me with the actual physical installation. I've also spent a long time on the phone to the chap we purchased these from, a guy called Roland from a company called Quality Source Limited. I'm going to pop a link in the description, and again, he specialises in lithium ion batteries and inverters for mobile homes, yacht installations, all sorts. So if you want any advice, he's a super helpful guy. He spent hours on the phone to me talking through how best to set these up to really get the most out of them. But these are really nifty batteries. We've gone for the 200 amp hour batteries rather than the 100 amp hour batteries. After last year, spending some time on the boat, we spent a lot of time at anchor, we had 800 amp hours of lead acid batteries, and that took up an awful lot of space, that weighed an awful lot. And this year we want to do away with the gas. We're going to cook with an electric oven, an induction hob. We want to be able to run the heater and maybe even heat the water, which might be a bit of an ask, but who knows, this year's going to be a test. To get 600 amp hours of lithium power out of lead acid, we'd need somewhere between 11 and 12 lead acid batteries. You know, that weighs as much as sort of 2 average sized people and takes a huge amount of space up down the side of the boat. So we've managed to condense that into these 3 batteries, which aren't too big, which all fit into one compartment, which is fantastic because that frees up an awful lot of space, means we can squeeze an inverter in, and we've still got additional storage which we've salvaged. You can run these down quite low. They're much more efficient to charge than lead acid batteries, so we should be able to get them fully topped up using less power than we would for the lead acids. And they've got Bluetooth capability, so you can log in and sort of see how each battery's doing. You can go a deep dive through the mobile phone app, and you can even check the individual cells within the battery just to keep an eye on everything that's going on. So really excited about these and dead keen to get them in, so let's see how this goes. Come on, Frankie. Your
your
expertise is needed.
I was promised breakfast.
Yeah, I will rustle up some breakfast. I thought we could make a plan. This is our stack of stuff. Oh, this is actually quite heavy. What heavy?
You lead acid batteries.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That is the last. That is the last of the lead acids. All the rest are out, but it looks like chaos down there.
It's a rat's nest, yeah.
It looks terrible. But I'm thinking of things like the shunt and whatnot, and all of this crazy hyper-connected terminal here.
Yeah.
Splitting that all up in bus bars.
That's where we have all the bus bars.
There's a little area I prepared earlier. Ooh. I think what I'm going to do, I just made this out for now to put the batteries in.
Yeah.
And then once we've got it all installed, then I'm going to fiberglass this and actually fiberglass it in place and put some D-rings on either side, so we can actually strap the batteries down.
The whole fungus shui. Do you care about? Do you want the positive on that side or on this side?
I haven't even thought about it. Is there a particular benefit to having one way and one the other?
Well, we're just going to have the fuses that go directly onto the terminals.
Okay, so it makes sense.
It'll be easier to get to on this end.
Okay.
So a little bit more.
So we need an awful lot of bits and pieces like bus bars and just general infrastructure. This all adds up as well, but these are the bits we've got. It's like a pretty heavy duty bus bar there. Gigantic switch. Connectors for the fuses on the end of the batteries.
Yeah. Well, it seems like this will work.
Yeah.
Where's the little cube? Here we go, fuse cubes. So this is interesting how this works. So it does a fusing between the two faces. So the bottom face being here and then the top face being your wire.
And these are going to individually fuse each battery.
Yeah, so the idea is if one happens to short out, it doesn't kill the other ones down, or no overloading, or then you have the cascade failure. Let's say if one of the fuses burns on one of them,
yeah,
and then the other one burns, and you're only down on the one for some reason, and then you turn on the inverter, then it protects the last one so you don't overload the last battery. So that's kind of a cascade failure. Just like that. Terminal on there, and then I guess just sit like that on there.
And so are these the bus bars initially for the positive and the negative terminals to be going to?
Yeah, so just generic bus bars.
Okay.
I think you can get them red and black, but I couldn't find the red ones at the time. But you should be able to just label them appropriately.
Should we hold it in position then?
Yeah, just put your finger in the middle of it, I guess.
These things are my electrical collection pride and joy. I'm excited about using them. Are you excited about using them?
Yeah, but they're the wrong ones, but okay.
What do you mean they're the wrong ones? What's wrong with these?
That's a point one. You're supposed to use the outside crimper. Do a press here, and press here. So we get a lot more contact on there.
So all the cabling exactly the same size.
So we're going to put 3 on here. We'll put the ones in the center.
So we're just purely going to have the batteries going to this bus bar, and then this bus bar links up to another bus bar where we distribute the power?
Yeah, so it's going to go to the contactor, the isolation switch.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to have a look at these little fuses that just go on the end of the individual battery terminals. I've never come across these before, but they seem like a good idea. Got a spare one here.
Got to be on the leading edge of technology, or you're far behind.
Yeah. So that's a 200 amp. So each one of those 200 amps.
Yep.
Interesting. How do you actually see when that is blown? What will be missing from that?
I think that the sides. I don't know if you see the metal on both sides will be burnt out.
Okay.
You see a hole, yeah. So that's the actual connection strips there.
Okay. And so that goes straight to the fuse directly from the battery and down to the positive bus bar. So we're part way through just installing the physical batteries and connecting them all up to the bus bars, and already I feel a lot less anxious about the battery bank that's going in versus the old battery bank. It's just night and day. Check it out. Chaos. Looks so much better already. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, what's this you're doing now?
So this is silicone grease.
Okay.
So it kind of makes the connections even waterproof, even though that these are nickel tinned connections.
Okay.
It just prevents any kind of corrosion buildup, and it just lets the electrons flow.
And
although it's not itself conductive, it's not conductive grease. It's just that it prevents the corrosion.
Okay. And this thing you're putting on now, this is another fuse, is it?
Yeah. So this is a Class T fuse. So it's basically a 400 amp fuse.
Okay.
And this is what's going to protect the inverter charger.
So now we've got the batteries at least laid out and wired up to their bus bars. We're just emptying out the compartment that had the head of the batteries, if you like, the main sort of old bank in it, and now we're just clearing that out and making room for the inverter, because that's where that's going to live. So just trying to figure out some wire sizing, distancing and whatnot, and the orientation that we're going to have it. So we're actually going to have it laying down, which you can do. So just need to make sure we've got enough space around it for airflow and whatnot. So see how Frank's getting. Just a mounting bracket. We're just going to screw this down to the floor and then slide that in place.
Yeah, and then you put down here, you put two screws to lock it in.
Okay.
So they go there and there.
Those two battery markers, so it's battery and battery. There's one for the starter battery and then one for the domestic bank?
No, so these are all just domestic. So there's two positives, two negatives.
And how come that's the case?
So that's where you're getting your power to run this is from just your domestic batteries.
Okay.
And then for your starter battery, you get a little thing here. If you see right here, it's a trickle charge. It's a little pin.
Oh wow.
And
Is
that discharges the other wire.
Oh wow. I thought something more heavy duty would be.
So it's just to give a light trickle charge.
Okay.
Just to keep the battery topped up.
We have decided on the fly, I think, this side is going to have all the negative side of the circuit, and then on this side we're going to have all the positive side of the circuit. So the isolation switch and everything will be this side and the main distribution, and then here we'll have the shunt and whatnot for the negative side. So I think, you know, a lot of people would meticulously plan this out and have drawings and sketches and ideas, and there's a lot to be said for that. There is a lot to be said for that, but I think, you know, there's also something to be said for the creative brilliance that is kind of laying all your materials out and just figuring it out on the go. That's the rationalisation we're using, isn't it, Frank?
Yep, that's it. Get her done.
We are creators. This is a work of art. Is it possible to set the inverter up so it's like on standby until like you flick one of the switches on the shore power circuit, if you like, as in, you know, one of the 240 volt plugs turns on? Will that then automatically bring the inverter to life, or do you need to like turn the inverter on if I wanted to like boil the kettle, for example?
Yeah, so that's the setting I'm setting up now. So this is AES.
Okay.
So there's a couple different modes. I don't know if you see AES.
Yeah.
We got there's search mode and modified sine wave mode.
Okay.
There's more about what it does. So search mode, what it does is it actually sends a pulse every few seconds to see if there's actually any loading on any of your sockets.
Yeah.
So as soon as you turn on your TV or let's say your kettle or a heater or anything, it'll see, oh, there's a load there, and then it'll turn on.
Okay.
And then so these values here, so basically it's looking for like a larger draw than 71 watts.
Okay.
But these values are a little bit wonky. They're not really true values. So it needs a bit of playing with. So basically,
do we need to work out what the lowest load that we will be asking off of the 240 volt system is?
Yeah. So if you just have like, let's say these laptop chargers and stuff, if you have them plugged in all the time, it confuses the inverter.
Okay.
And it'll turn on. It might cycle on and off. So we have to play with these values a little bit so that it'll stay off until there's a significant load coming on. and then it'll just stay on until you turn off the load.
Okay.
So if you're doing cooking, that kind of stuff is really simple. But when you get with computers,
Yeah.
it might be like borderline.
What kind of load would a laptop be in terms of watts? They're not that much, are they?
No, that's it. So again, they also change. So when the battery's fully charging, they'll take maybe up to, well, I don't know, this one's maybe 150 watts, but like this computer here will take up to 250 watts when it's charging.
Okay.
But then it throttles back to maybe 30 watts when it's just running. So we just need to kind of play with that. So again, if you want to plug in your laptops to charge them,
Yeah.
they may not be enough of a hit
Yeah.
to
So
actually keep the
trigger
thing to keep it on.
Okay.
So we just gotta play with that a little bit so it works.
Okay.
Right now I'm just setting a kind of basic settings the same as mine.
Okay.
So it'll be like a small meaningful load. We'll turn it on,
Okay, that sounds good.
and yeah, it's pretty good.
Good. Just as I think I filmed all the interesting stuff, I put the camera away, and then Frankie the Wizard opens his mouth again and comes out with a load more things that I think would be really interesting. So can you just sorry to repeat yourself, just run me through that thing you're doing again.
Yeah, so here I'm in the Victron Connect,
Yeah.
and so in the inverter tab. So a few things we can play with. So this is the inverter output voltage.
Okay.
So currently it's at 210. The default is 230.
Okay.
So let's say we have this heater and it's about a 1,000 watt heater,
Yeah.
the current setting. Right now it's only actually taking 821 watts.
Okay.
If I change the output, inverter output back up to say 230, you're going to see the wattage has gone up. Now it's taking about pretty much 1,000
I can
watts.
actually hear the fan has just
Yeah,
sort of gone up as well.
so the cool thing about these inverter systems, so if you have like high draw things like this and your kettle, which
Yeah.
are, you know, and they don't actually need to be at full peak power all the time.
And so at full peak power, are they pushing the limits of what the inverter's sort of
Well, that's
happy
it.
doing?
Well, so that's it. And we can actually raise the voltage up to 250 volts, and then you can actually make like your hair dryers and kettle even more powerful than they would be on short
Right,
power.
okay.
Let's say if you wanted your tea like really like right now,
Yeah.
you could, you know, we can up the voltage a little bit and actually boil the kettle quicker. But it does a little more abuse to your inverter. So by running it at the lowest voltage threshold, about 210 volts,
Yeah.
you're putting less strain on the inverter.
Okay. So that means basically the wires are getting less hot.
Yeah. So
okay.
everything's going to get loaded a little. Everything's going to take a little bit longer. Your heater's going to run a little bit slower. Your kettle's going to be a little bit, but everything still works and happy. But you can actually potentially plug in a few more things.
Okay.
You know, so you're not past the
Yeah.
the safety threshold.
All right. That sounds good. And what is 210 the lowest setting possible, or?
Yeah, so if we go here, I try and go low. Yeah, so that's 210 is the lowest.
Okay, so this is the bit I'm actually weirdly looking forward to the most, and it was an afterthought for us anyway. It wasn't even something we planned on doing, but Frankie's building us a Raspberry Pi little mini computer display thing, which is going to show us everything that's going on the network. And this is one of his boat hacks, and it's only about 100 quid to put all this together if you know what you're doing. So let's turn to a guy who knows actually what he's doing. Alright, so this is the Raspberry Pi display for anyone that's never seen a Raspberry Pi. Sorry, we didn't actually unbox it for you, but here it is. Alright, so this is the display.
Just put a ribbon
Like,
in there.
ooh, cute little display.
Yep.
So we got this ribbon that sends the information back and forth,
Okay.
and then it goes into this display here.
Okay. So this is actually the little mini computer itself. We've got 4 USBs on the side and one of those phone jack situations.
So that's the Pi, is that?
Yeah. It's a computer basically, isn't it? It's a
The whole
little.
thing's a Raspberry Pi. Yeah.
It's a tiny computer. It's pretty cool. So it just mounts with 4 screws there. So where do you get the firmware or the software for the Victron?
I'll post a link on what it is.
Okay. Is that something you have to download onto like a card?
Yeah, SD card.
SD
so
card.
I have the software on my computer.
Okay. Is it a free download?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good, free.
It's free,
download.
and then there's open source support.
Okay.
We got a couple wires here, so I know we get ground and power, and then there's I think communication. So these plug into down here. Third.
So that is the last one on the left, and then the third one in for the black wire.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then so you can see inside. So that's ground, and then there's a 5 volt. You can just labeled on the PCB.
Okay. So you're going on the one all the way on the end with the red.
Yeah, and then it's going on the second to last one.
Okay, let's have a little look at it then. So we have, okay, so red on the far right, black's on the far left, and then up here, the second one in, the red, and the third one in. There's the black. That seems straightforward enough.
Yeah, and we can even see if it powers up, so we can just give power to it, just from my power drive, and then we should see the startup screen. We should. We're not.
We got dead.
Oh, I put the ribbon on backwards. Okay, hold on.
Okay, so, and this ribbon is communication from the computer to the display.
Yeah, it's a two-way communication. What it has.
Oh, so the blue side should be facing.
Yeah, I forget. I was doing it the wrong way. I assumed it was that way, but. Seems to be that way, right?
Yeah.
So the writing is face up. So
Card with firmware.
Little micro SD card.
Yeah.
And that just goes in underneath the.
Yeah.
So that just literally goes in underneath the.
Yeah, the card in there.
Okay, fine.
There we go.
So it just needs that SD card, like I say, to tell it what to do, basically.
Yeah, it's just the operating system, and it just knows that a bit.
Okay.
So, Victron Energy. And so yeah, we have this account. So we have this display, and we can literally just plug this in to your inverter, and then you have an up and running Venus device. Let's give her a few seconds to recognize. And 5 minutes we have a working display.
Yeah, I was going to say, it didn't take long at all, did it?
There we go.
Boom, there we are. We've got 750 watts of solar, which is currently keeping our batteries fairly topped up, but we've also got glorious weather as well at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over time, you know, once we get those inevitable cloudy days. But I am keeping a diary, a daily diary of both our power usage and the sort of state of charge, and you know, I'm just trying to get a better idea, a higher resolution picture of what's going on with our system, and then we'll know if there's any adjustments or amendments or modifications we might make in the future. So here's a little look at that diary, and as I say, it's early days, but with the more data we collect, we'll be able to figure out, you know, what's going to be best for us, because we don't want a penny pinch with regards to, or we don't want an energy pinch. You know, we literally just want to use the electricity as if we were back at home and not think about it, because this is our home. If you guys haven't done so already, then be sure to check out our website. It's cadoha.com. There's more information in there about us, who we are, our backstory, a bunch of pictures, more information on the boat, the history of the boat, and some more photos of the boat. And yeah, there's going to be more resources coming onto that website as well as we make upgrades and just, you know, share what we're doing with you guys even further. And that is the story of how we got to this point so far. So huge thank you to Roland, who helped us a huge amount over the phone, over email, really making sure we picked the right hardware for our needs. And the guy spent probably hours on the phone to me, after hours even, some late night phone conversations, just talking me through the things I need to consider and think about, everything from fuses to wires to, you know, the correct batteries with the right sort of BMS for what we're going to be asking of them demand wise. Roland was an absolute legend, so I really hope he gets some kickback from this. I'm going to pop a link to his website in the description, but super helpful guy. If you've got any questions about the technical aspects of what you might need to buy, then by all means send Roland a message. footage. But also a huge thank you to Frank, who came over and obviously helped us immensely with the physical installation. Frank, aka Frankie, aka the Mad Scientist, aka Frankie Four Fingers, you're a genius, you're a legend, you've made life on board so much better, so thank you. If anyone has any specific sort of technical questions for Frank also, then be sure just to pop a comment in the description below, and if you start your comment with "to Frankie Four Fingers," then he's going to know it's for him, and no doubt he'll come right back to you. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope everyone's staying safe and well. Thank you very much for coming down, hanging out with us for 15 minutes of your day. I appreciate everyone's busy, and there's 1,000,001 people out there vying for your time and attention, so the fact that you guys choose to spend some time with us is really cool. We really appreciate it, and yeah, loads of love. Hope you guys are staying well, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.